Good morning. I'm Dr. Petra Weldis. Welcome to the Science of Mind class here at CSLDallas. And we are crawling our way through this lovely chapter on the power of a thought and continuing to explore what does it mean that our thinking makes a difference. What are we doing? What are we responsible for? How does it work? All of these kinds of things, because after having spent quite a bit of time on the theory, now we're in the application part of it. So we talked about thought force last week, created a whole movie out of it, and this week we're carrying on down at the bottom of 141. And I love this, there's a whole analogy here that Ernest Holmes talks about when we think about this idea of thought force. It's let's imagine that the universe is nothing but water permeated by an infinite intelligence. Imagine that every time this intelligence moves or thinks, ice is formed in the water exactly corresponding to the thought. We have countless pieces of ice of different form, color, and size, but these pieces of ice would still be water. If we could heat the entire mass, it would melt, and all forms would again become fluid. Nothing would have changed except form. The physical universe is spirit in form. And this is extraordinarily important to remember, that we don't understand spirit and matter to be opposites. We actually understand them on a continuum, to be a part of the continuum of the infinite. On one end, we have the continuum of the intangible reality, spirit. We call it spirit. And then as it moves into manifestation, it becomes matter. So, and if you haven't read it, I'm going to say it again, read Thomas Troward's Edinburgh Lectures. He really, really deals with this and helps us understand how we can think about these things. So, spirit, let me say that again. Form, creation, is simply spirit in form. Spirit is simply creation in its what should we say? In its idea, in its inception. As you think, oh, I'm going to do something, I'm going to create something, I want to build a business, I want to get a job, I want to have this in my life, right? That is the pre-form. That is the thing that brings things into form, right? So spirit is form, not yet solidified. So that's why this idea of ice makes a great analogy, because if everything is vibration, spirit is vibrating at such a level that it is outside of the bounds of physicality, and matter is spirit vibrating at such a level where it has become physicality. And, it's interesting to think about what they're exploring in quantum physics, that whether that's exactly what it is, or it's just another really excellent metaphor of how this works. But the thing to continually keep in mind is it's all water, or let's say we think of water as liquid. It's all H2O. Spirit is H2O. In analogy, spirit is H2O. The law is H2O. As it's moving into substance, it's H2O. As it comes into form, it's H2O, right? It's all the same in essence. And it's just manifesting itself in different ways. First is intelligence, which is the orderly process. Then the word, which is that which casts the intention or the movement. Then the idea, which is basically the mold, the image that begins to make it real, the concept, and then the movement toward the thing, right? And remember, we said thought is a movement in consciousness. So we have that which is essential to the fabric of the universe. Intelligence and word are essential to the fabric of the infinite, as gravity is essential to the fabric of the space-time continuum. Right? It's simply part of the nature of the space-time continuum. Intelligence and word, which kind of encompasses the idea, the image, the concept, right? Encompasses all of that, is simply the nature of reality in its unformed way. And then the idea is that thought is the actual working power. Thought is what brings it all together and moves the thing forward. Okay, so, which is great, which is, right? So we have kind of a working idea of how this might happen, what we're talking about, how we can use it. And then, of course, the immediate response is, well, I wasn't thinking about this horrible thing that happened to me. I wasn't thinking about this thing that has outpictured. So how can this be true if we're talking about thought? So we're going to go now to the atmosphere of our thinking. We are all immersed in the atmosphere of our own thinking, which is the direct result of all we have ever said, thought, or done. This decides what is to take place in our lives. It attracts and repels. We're drawn toward it. So, here's the important passage. Most of the inner processes of our thought have been unconscious. The minute we use the word thought, we immediately assume we mean conscious thought. We make the same mistake when we use the word choice. We immediately assume we mean conscious choice. We are making unconscious choices all the time, right? And so those patterns and habits that are laid down in what we might call our subconscious mind, Ernest Holmes calls our subjective mind, are just as much thought as our conscious thought. We can never, ever, ever forget this. Most of the inner processes of our thought have been unconscious. And if we look at our lives, I'm sure we can find many, many, many examples of how true this is. But when we understand the law, we learn to consciously embody what we want and think of this only, and then we are drawn silently toward it. So the whole point here is that the atmosphere of our thinking, somewhere in this, maybe it's going to be in the next few sections, Ernest Holmes says, it is the sum total of our thinking that is actually what's causing our reality to express itself the way it is, right? And so this body of subconscious patterns, habits, right? That's playing out when we're on autopilot. Automatic thinking. And it is the conscious application of a new thought. That is why it's called the New Thought movement. And the recognition that conscious thought is more powerful than unconscious thought. Why? Because we can deliberately imbue it either with repetition or with energy and conviction and acceptance, right? And it begins to, as neuroscience has taught us, it begins to rewrite the synaptic pathways in our brain, which is where those patterns are laid down in the actual physicality of our brain. And so it is the discipline of our conscious thinking that makes the difference and overwrites and begins to develop something new, which is attractive And of course, as we rewrite those patterns, the goal is that the new way of thinking becomes the pattern. It becomes the habit. And then we don't have to work so hard. We don't have to work so hard to stay in the discipline of things work out for me. Instead of, it's just always one thing after another. I don't know why I think it's going to, right? I mean, those are two opposing expectations. If it's always one thing after another, that's been laid down over a lifetime of experience or hearing it or learning it or whatever. But the discipline of it always works out is an opportunity to consciously rewrite that atmosphere of our thinking. Do you see? So you can't just say it once. Can't just say it once in the morning. You can't just, right? We are developing a different atmosphere of thinking. Now he's going to talk about embodiment, acceptance. So don't make the mistake of thinking that this is a purely cerebral activity. This is not just head, right? It's so easy to just say, oh, it's just head. You just got to feel it. No. This works together because our feelings can be as much of a pattern as our thoughts. And so we work to marry them. We say, it always works out for good. And we begin to look for evidence. We begin to develop a conviction. I'm simply going to believe this. I'm simply going to affirm it. I'm going to accept that this is true no matter what, right? Do you see? I'm marrying head and heart kinesthetically. This is a movement in consciousness. So never make the mistake that this is just sort of a head thing no, it's actually a fundamental discipline. It is a discipline of our psyche, our whole being. And the yeah, but, well, look at that. What happened then? Yeah, but, then our fear. Well, what if it doesn't happen, right? That's our emotions and our heart and our gut, right? And so our job, the I that I am, which is not my brain, it's not my thinking, it's not just the rational egoic mind. The I that I am is working to bring all of that into alignment in a way that becomes a new movement in consciousness. Remember way back here, this is one of my favorite sentences. At the beginning of Thought Force on page 141, underline it if you don't have it underlined. Thought Force is a movement in consciousness in a field of mechanical but intelligent law. So this changes everything when we understand it is the totality of that movement in consciousness that we're talking about. So this idea that so much of our life is unconscious, automatic, is corroborated in so many of the Eastern traditions. It's corroborated in psychology, in depth psychology, in therapy, and all the work that we do, right? And the difference of this in the science of mind and in New Thought is we don't need to know the event. Sometimes that is valuable and helpful, but we actually don't need to know the event or the series of events. What we need to know is the pattern. And when we can identify the pattern, we can say, no, that's not the truth. Here's the spiritual truth. This is what I'm going to align myself with. And ultimately, truthfully, we don't even need to know the pattern. We simply need to know that there is one. And we go, no, this is what I'm going to believe. I don't care what trauma I had in my past. I don't care what belief that laid down. It's actually immaterial. I'm going to begin rewriting those synaptic patterns, and I'm going to be disciplined to believe it and expect it. And it is my conscious intentionality and my conscious it's like, this is one of the reasons why we teach meditation, right? What do you do in meditation as the most fundamental practice? Come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. I'm sitting here meditating, I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Oh God, I have to have that conversation tomorrow with that person. No, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. Do you see? That's what it means to be conscious and to use our consciousness to bring ourselves disciplined back to what we choose to focus on. And neuroscience has taught us that as we consistently focus on that which was the pattern, it atrophies for lack of use. Right? And we can count on that. We can count on that. Yes, occasionally we get a little too close to it, and our brain may go down, but the groove is this big instead of a canyon that we've built over a lifetime. It's been atrophying. I think of it as literally like small riverbeds in the desert, and they get washed out because the water goes down it over and over and over again. But if you divert the water, what happens? The leaves got in there, the sand gets in there, and then it rises up, and pretty soon the water can't even find its way down there because it's not actually a thing anymore. And so this is what we're doing with our discipline. And I know that we don't really like that word because we like to be free spirits, and I only want to do what I feel like doing. The problem is sometimes I feel like being offended by what you said, when in fact, all I'm doing is seeing you as my father or my mother or a previous partner, and it really has absolutely nothing to do with you at all. Right? Do you see? This is where the discipline of consciousness is so important. Because when we are conscious of what's going on, we can then have a conscious movement, an intentional movement in consciousness. So let's talk about this. How do we experience it? What's the challenge with it? How can we get better at it? And what's the withhold when we say, you can't make me, I don't want to do it? Not that I have ever felt that way, ever. Because I've always been, right? I don't want to work that hard. And it's hard work. It's diligent effort. It's diligent effort. And when you first start doing it, everybody that I know of, including myself, it's exhausting. To be conscious, to catch it. I don't want to do it anymore. Well, you don't want to go to the gym. You're not going to get any better. I got to do it. Right? This is the discipline because we know the end result. Okay, I'm going to stop. I really am going to stop talking now. I know Ryan doesn't believe me, but it's okay.
Yeah, well,
He moved his little thing off his ear about 5 minutes ago, waiting for me to...
Yeah. All the subtleties that me and Petra pick up on, it's quite hilarious. I was just looking at my time, and I'm like, I got another good 5 minutes. Anyways, hi, how you guys doing? My name's Ryan. I'm the guy in the sky for those who are online. And hello for everybody here in the room. I'm going to wave at you because I just feel weird when I just sit here and say stuff. For everybody online via Zoom, I'm waving at you too, and all across the globe on Facebook.
Me too.
Live.
I'm waving at you too.
Hey, why don't you guys wave to the camera? Wave to the camera. See, we see you, and we're happy that you are in community with us today.
Yeah.
So, this is the engaging part of our conversation, and I encourage those who are in the room and those who are online to participate. And it's super easy. I'll tell you how. All you have to do is, if you're here in the room, go ahead and raise your hand, and we will have somebody bring you the microphone. Or we love our volunteers here, so we always encourage sharing the mic when you see somebody else raise their hand. And for those who are joining us via Zoom, you can hit the raise your hand icon located down below under the more or the reactions tab, and I can bring you into the room. And all of the lovely folks who are on Facebook Live, make sure to go ahead and put your questions and comments inside of the chat, and I bring those into the room as well. And for anybody who puts their questions in the chat, I always like to make sure that you know it's going to stay anonymous. That way we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So we're going to start over here with Joe. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
So say you've done all the work, you're in alignment, you've done the conscious movement. And so would it follow that because we're all part of this consciousness that your new thought could affect someone else's decision?
Of course.
Okay.
Are we talking hypothetically or?
To a point, yes.
Absolutely, right? Because our work isn't just to make us feel better. It is to understand that we are the creators, the co-creators in our lives. And so, yes, we are rearranging the molecules of the universe. Yes, we are, in fact, which is why, of course, we can do treatment for someone else. We can absolutely, and so we are creating to us, well, it's hard to talk about things like this without using physical analogies. But it's when you set a new cause in motion, you essentially set in motion an alternate timeline. And you and the thing that you're doing that work about move on to that alternate timeline, where that decision that was in alignment with with this work that you're doing has to come about. And so that's the expectation. It's also why we do not do treatment to coerce others, because it works and it's unethical, right? Because that person has efficacy too in their own lives, and we don't take things from people. We don't say, I want your job, I want your house, I want your partner. No, we say, I want somebody like that. We can use it as a mental equivalent. But if we are, in fact, let's say we're going for a job, we can expect, as we're doing this discipline, right, that as the job is manifesting, all the decisions that are in alignment with us getting that job must be made in service to us getting that job. And so we can assume and expect that whatever needs to fall into place, and we don't have to name it. We just name the end result, right? That's really important. We just have to name the end result. Or we're negotiating, and we expect that our negotiations are going to work out perfectly, and we're going to land at let's say we're buying a house, right? We use physical analogies because it's a lot easier to talk about. Not because you're always using your spirituality to get stuff, okay? It's more concrete, right? We can see what we're talking about. So let's say you're negotiating for a house, and the price of the house is pretty high. You think it's a little overpriced. It really feels like the right house for you. You've been attracted to it. It feels like it's in alignment. And your budget is X, and they're asking why. And yet, if we know that we live in an abundant universe, we're always supported, and everything always works out, and if this is our house, it must come together. We're doing our spiritual work, accepting that we're at closing, and it's a win-win situation for us and for the seller. Period. End of sentence. And so we don't have to manipulate the decisions. Does that mean a decision needs to be made about the mortgage? Somebody's going to make that decision, and we know that somewhere along the line a decision is going to be made in our favor. Maybe the seller needs to make some decisions, right? But we're also a part of the answer. So we too are drawn into the decision making, and we accept that whatever the decisions are that are needed to be made, they're all made in accordance with the end result that this comes to fruition. And so, in that sense, we've potentially changed somebody's decision. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And so the thing we don't do is force somebody's decision, because that's just manipulation, right? That's a great question, so thank you. All right, I think we have another question in the room, okay?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian.
Good morning, Brian.
And I love how everything is connected. And I love the analogy of spirit to material. In chemistry this week, I'm teaching a chemistry course this semester, and we're talking about intermolecular forces, dipole bonds, hydrogen bonds, and as we slow down the gases, they become more liquid,
yes.
And then they become solids, and here we are in the meditation room, and as I slow down my thoughts, then I materialize and manifest.
Yes.
So that's the epiphany I had.
I love that. Right. I love that. I love that you say that. This is why it's called the science of mind, right? One, because you need to prove it to yourself. Otherwise, it's just blind faith. But two, there is a recognition. Science of mind comes out of the New Thought and the Transcendental movement, and the scientific recognition that the life is on the created plane works out of orderly laws. And if it's true, above so below, then so below as above. Right? And so we can see these things and go, oh, that helps us understand how the spiritual nature works. And I do love it when it all comes together in so many different ways, right? Thank you so much, Brian. So you didn't know you were going to get a chemistry lesson this morning, did you? It's great. Okay, and we have another comment up here in the room. Do we have anything online at the moment?
I want to make a comment.
Oh, great. Okay, Carmen, and then we'll bring it forward.
Yes. So how we're talking about the oneness, and something that I just was experienced for myself is that how you're saying how we manifest things, how we co-create our experience, and we're one. And so I was thinking about how I come in, who I attract into my life, people, just general, and we're oneness, so they're a reflection of who I am. And so right now I'm working on forgiveness. And so the person that comes into my life, they're a reflection of who I am. And if I don't like that part that they're the reflection of who I am, it's for me to forgive myself. Does that make sense, Petra?
Yes,
And,
it certainly is one way to look at it. Absolutely.
And so for the manifestation part, it's like that allows me to,
So can I just say it's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of what you believe and expect, which is very different. So the forgiveness work, right, is we have to forgive ourselves for having a false expectation. Tell me what's going on. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Say what happened. What just happened for you?
because you're right in his beliefs.
Yeah.
And since I believe, if I have a belief, that means that's who I, think that I am.
Correct. And so we have to forgive ourselves for holding ourselves back and small and for believing shit that people have said to us, right? So yes, then we forgive ourselves for that and we stop attracting it out of others. Because you are so much more than those false beliefs. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for, I'm sorry, it feels weird for you to thank me for making you cry. But you know, I love you and I see who you are. And this is the mistake that psychology makes. Because we think our beliefs are who we are. No, that's not true. Our beliefs are not who we are. That's the false construct that we've created about ourselves and about life and about how the whole thing works, based on our physicality, our reptilian brain, our need to survive, our childhood issues, blah, la, 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 la. But it's not who we are. And that's why our consciousness work that is so focused on understanding who we are. Radiant, magnificent beings of love and light. Richard Bach, I love this. You know, you all should go back and read the classics, right? Classic metaphysics, classic new thought. And one of them is Richard Bach. And he writes in Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, in the Messiah Handbook, he said, you are the playful otters of the universe. We take everything so freaking seriously. Oh my God. And we think, and we forget we have eternity. We have eternity to become the expression of who we actually are. Right? And so so we can hold all these things a little more lightly and not say, well, I attracted that because that's who I am. No. I attracted it because that's what I believe about myself. Thank you very much, oh humanity and my childhood. And none of us don't have that. Wait, that's a double negative. Does that mean all of us have that? Right? So thank you for sharing. Thanks.
Thank you, Carmen.
And you know, of course, it's always for everybody in the room and everybody online. It's never just only for us. Okay, Ross.
This is Ross. And I've come to the place of, if I can imagine it and congruently want it, I'll have it. So I said to myself, I want more excitement. I want to be engaged professionally in a very exciting way. And it put me in a real confusion because 5 things showed up.
Yes.
Away from an opportunity to join a medical practice in Switzerland, to a homestead in Bedford, to 3 other things, and I like them all. Now what?
Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to be confused like this.
Too bad. Because
They're all nice.
Right. Okay. Super important. And what's going to move you forward?
That's why I'm talking right now. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Well, I know the thing about multiple futures. Take small steps in each one of those and see which one turns out.
No, but on a more causal level.
That's what I know. That's what you're going for.
Right. Oh. No, that's on the human level. This is why we forget that one of the most fundamental things about us is our power to choose. And how wonderful to be able to choose among 5 great things instead of 5 things that suck. Right? Which is the least bad. Okay, I'm going to choose that because it has the least negative impact on my life. Choose to stay in an abusive relationship, choose to leave an abusive relationship and be afraid, have to get a restraining order, blah, la, 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 la. Choices. This is a fundamental reality, and our entire life is based on our choices. And we celebrate that we have this And then when we recognize, we make a pro and con list, we take the little steps, we play it out in our minds. And this is why the reality of it is there's no right answer. There's no right answer. Spirit does not say, well, Ross, I really think you should take that thing in Switzerland, and if you don't, I'm going to withhold your ability to manifest because you made the wrong choice. Spirit does not have an opinion about it other than, I want to be the magnificent you that you are in whichever one you choose. So people come to me and they say, should I leave my relationship or should I stay? We have a big, long conversation about it. Should I leave my relationship or should I stay? And I say, well, I have no idea. If you leave, you will learn and grow. If you stay, you will learn and grow. What if it's a mistake? What if it's a mistake? You will learn and grow. We are choice after choice, and what we want, and this is, our spirituality gives us conviction in the process of manifestation, but it does not mean we have certainty. It means that we have the more open we are to the abundance of the universe, the more abundances are going to be. We could be like, ooh, this is so much fun. Let me think about this. Let me think about that. Let me see. What if I did that? What if I did that? Ooh, right? The universe is always that abundant. And there's a banquet table. Go to the buffet, right? How many times have we sat at the buffet and then we overload our plate because we can't make a decision? Or how many people stay stuck because they simply decide not to decide, because we're paralyzed by which one is the right answer. There is no right. There's only your answer in the moment. And if it turns out not to be, you go down the road for a little while, guess what? You make another choice. Well, you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. Well, aren't you a flighty little thing, choosing and then choosing something else? Well, that's just everybody else's opinion. You keep re-choosing until you find the path and you think, this. It might take you 3 or 4 choices to realize that this is the one, and the rest of it, you are the playful otter of the universe. This is your sandbox. You have eternity. And we want every decision to be the right one. Right? So you get to play with it. Hold them lightly. If you can hold them lightly and not cling or try to force it, right? It'll begin to reveal itself. Things will begin to reveal itself. That's no longer feeling right. Hold it, play with it, play around with it. And remember that not only is it a gift that you're a choice, it's the nature of the beast. That is one of the biggest things that we have to take responsibility for. There's no right answer, and the universe does not have a plan other than to fully express as you in the glory of who you are. Everything else gets to be a choice. And we get to be responsible for it.
No matter what happens, I'm going to learn and grow.
Exactly. And Thomas Trowitz also reminds us that every choice is in. If you say, I'm going to have a fabulous life, and you say, and you have a number of choices, I'm going to have a fabulous life. I'm going to have I'm going to have more exciting work, or what, right? So I go this way, and the law has to say, now you're here, it has to be part of the answer. Or you go this way, well, now you're here, it has to be part of the answer. Or it's not, and you realize, this isn't going to get that, so now I'm going to make a different choice. Right? In that way, we recognize there's no mistakes, there's just learning. Okay, back there and then back there. Oh, wait, and we have somebody online.
So, I know we're wrapping it up.
We are?
We're getting close to the ending time.
Wait!
And you started something going on. All right. But I do have a story to tell you guys, and it comes from one of our folks online. So let me get to that, and then we'll close it out with one more comment, because we're going to go over time, and we all appreciate what we learned here today. So I'm going to just close it out with this. On this comment, and I keep them anonymous, but for those who know, who will know. It says, "Good morning. This conversation is so powerful. I had one of those major unexpected health moments and thought, why? As I've done my work and research, I've discovered it wasn't my conscious thought, even though I affirmed I have a healthy heart. But my unconscious thought for years, I had sadness and depression around losses. I now know that after research, that this heartbreak from depression can play into my heart disease, conscious or not.
Yes.
My healing has been amazing, and I know it's renewed thought force for wholeness. Our CSL practitioners have surrounded me in healing and wholeness. TSR.
Yay! I love that, right?
I added
Yay!
the MF in there. If you
That's
guys know
right.
you.
TSRW.
So I just wanted to share that one.
I love that.
It is a powerful story
Absolutely.
of how this demonstration works.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have a microphone back there somewhere. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm Darlene. Quickly, the Glenda and I are treating for a house. We decided we want to buy a house, and so we were like, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" And we never get to it. So I'm saying this quickly because I know we're ending. But we were reading Neville Goddard, and he said, "Work from the end." And so when we settled on the fact that that house exists, we have it. Well, now we're playing in the house.
Yes.
We're playing in the house. I have 2 ovens and a fireplace in the kitchen. She doesn't want a fireplace in the kitchen. I said, well, go make you another kitchen. And, and so we're playing in the house. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that house is going to appear.
And when
And
you
so-
walk in it, you'll go, oh my God. And
Yeah.
everyone before that will be, this is not
And it's
it.
the choice instead of working into it,
Yes.
you're working from it. And
Yes.
it made it a lot easier and fun.
Yes, I love that, Darlene, right? Because then you can, in fact, play with it instead of it feeling like, oh my God, I have to do it right, get the right house. Beautiful.
In the,
Right. Cindy, did you have something real quick you could add?
Just real quick, I was one of those people that asked you whether to stay or go in my relationship when I first came here. And I was in a class, and I remember very vividly what you said. You said, sounds like you need to treat for clarity. And I treated for clarity, and the very next day I received a text message from my husband who I was separated from, which said, I found somebody new. And so it was one of those moments where be careful what you treat for, but at the same time, the clarity that
Yes.
I asked for was there almost instantaneously.
Right. Beautiful. And it could be the same thing with jobs, homes, whatever. I'm not sure, do I want this home or that, this job or that? And then all of a sudden that other job disappears. Right? Boom. There you go. Right? I love that. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so
I want to just give a huge shout out to our acrobatic videographer over here.
with 2 cameras.
Dude, shout out to Richard, man, because if you guys have been watching online, he is, doing a great job.
He's on it. Absolutely.
And you know what else, Petra? I think
Yes,
that
Brian, what else?
It's time for everybody in this room to receive. Are you ready to receive, though?
Yes?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if they really are because
Was kind of lackluster
yeah,
response,
it's kinda
right?
lackluster. I know the people online were a lot louder than you.
Shouting, yay!
Anyways, so if you are ready to receive, I want to encourage you to participate in a home study group. They are,
That's right.
live and in action now. So you can go to our website, go to events, and then go to the home study group and sign up for an online or in-person home study group because it's going to be starting in March.
Yes.
And there's various times available. Another real quick note, is that our very own Dr. Petra is going to be teaching a class on Bible and New Thought. Isn't that right?
Yes, and we're focusing on the New Testament, the teachings of Jesus from a metaphysical and mystical point of view. It's a fabulous course, starts on this Thursday, so sign up. It's in person and online. So it'll be really lovely to have people in the room, as well as those of you online. We also have Building Healing Consciousness coming up in March with Sherry. And we've got the home study groups coming up in March. We have Membership Matters. Carmen and I are going to be talking about why membership matters and inviting you to, if you found a spiritual home here, inviting you to become a member. It's March 2nd. And March 9th, we'll be having a volunteer fair. So there's just a boatload of stuff going on.
Yeah. And go to CSLDallas.org.
Or pick up the one page if you're on
There's
campus.
the one pager as well, too. Yeah.
All right, so pay attention to your thought force this week and play with your own life. It is actually a joyous opportunity. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.